My guest today is Sita Kapadia, Professor Emeritus of English, Asian Literature and World Literature at the City University of New York. Sita has published The Woman Beside Gandhi, a biography of Kasturba, wife of the Mahatma, a book rooted in her childhood desire to meet Kasturba Gandhi. Beyond academia and writing, Sita is also a master gardener and an artist. From her early years in India, where she met Mahatma Gandhi at just 8 years old, to her international experiences in Singapore, Malaysia, and now in the United States, Sita's journey is a testament to resilience, creativity, and the power of lifelong learning. Without further ado, I can't wait for this conversation with Sita ji, who also happens to be my oldest guest in Atlanta Diaries, and brings with her the energy, zeal, and wisdom of a life well lived. Hi, Sita ji. Welcome to Atlanta Diaries, and thank you for taking out time to do this conversation.
Thank you, Enma. Such a wonderful, affectionate introduction.
Well deserved, Sita ji. And, for the benefit of the listeners, I'm sitting in Sita ji's house. Only for convenience, we are doing it over Zoom, but I got this opportunity to see her amazing artwork, her mother's amazing artwork. I'm sitting underneath one beautiful Radha Krishna painting, and the whole house has such a positive vibe that I feel honored to be in this house. So thank you once again, and let's start the conversation. Sita ji, share with us, how did your early years make you the person that you've become?
My early years are very important because I had a head start with a pair of parents who were just so unusual. My mother and father did not see any difference in the way they raised me and my brother. We were equal, and I got the impression that I could do anything. So, when the boys played cricket, they told me that I was a girl, so I had to bowl underhand. Well, I can bowl overhand, just like everybody else. And if I wanted to do something, monkey ropes, I could do it. If I wanted to dig, I could dig. I played cricket, I played carom, I played chess, and so it was anything they did, I could do.
And your grandfather's perspective was different. He sent his sons abroad for education, but hesitated to do the same for his daughter.
Yes, my mother wanted to go to college, and she wanted to study art. But my grandfather, first of all, he said, no, girls don't go to college. But my mother pointed out some girls and said, there are people who go to college, and there is a girls' college, but they didn't have art. So my mother studied and got her BA. Unlike some of her sisters, except her youngest sister, who because of my mother, she was able to do a master's also.
So she was a trailblazer in the family.
She was, absolutely. And she was feisty. I think I got that spirit from her. And the people orientation from my father. He was a very progressive person, a humanitarian, a Gandhian. And he went to all the homes of the girls who were widowed and who had to work in the kitchen of the in-laws, having not even lived maybe a year or two with her husband. He persuaded so many families to get the widowed girls married to a widower. He was always forward-thinking. And so when I went to college, he said to Mummy, her name was Vimala, Vimo, you want to college? Sita is going to college. I go to college, Papa? I'm 42 years old. He said, what's age got to do with it? Do you still have that desire to go to art school? She said, yes, I do. And so I went to college and she went to college all at the same time. It was wonderful. I'm so lucky to have had them. And then you can see the artwork in my home. The painting of Lord Krishna was so beautiful that everybody wanted it. And there are now 22 paintings of Lord Krishna in 22 homes all over the world.
That's amazing.
And it was not a copy. Each one was, she looked at the person, their eyes, and then she did the whole painting from start.
I'm almost regretting why didn't I meet you a few years earlier, right? Then maybe I also would have been the owner of one of those.
You can take a photo of it.
That's a great idea. It's a good start. Sita, talk to us about these Gandhian principles and share with us, some of the Gandhian principles which you imbibe.
As a child, I grew up listening to the, 78 RPM record, first thing that was put on in the morning. Vaishnava jana to tenere kahiye je. This one means a true Vaishnava, a true follower of the Lord, is one who understands the pain of another. So, all through life, if there was a need somewhere, then I just had to go to it. I had to put aside anything like writing a manuscript and go to help somebody, to care about somebody, not have the ego to show off about it. I saw the pain of students who were gay, who were lesbian, and I went and helped them. These students didn't know who to go to. They were being abused verbally by the parents, especially the fathers. And I put them in touch with my colleagues who were also, homosexual. Things like that. They are so natural. When my department asked who will go and teach in a prison, because the city is now having several people who are approaching parole, and we want to prepare them for coming out into the world. Who will go? 60 people in my department, 40 full-time, 20 part-time. Who is going to go and teach in the prison?
Only Sita Kapadia.
Guess what?
Right.
I said, I will go. But it was not only a teaching experience, it was a humane experience and a learning experience for the teacher, for me.
What were your learnings from that experience?
This was Gandhian too.
Yeah.
Do not look down on somebody because they are in prison, because you think they have committed a crime, because the state said they committed a crime. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. And even if they did, they can change. We give ourselves a lot of leeway. Well, let them have the chance to have values. I took the record of Martin Luther King for them to listen to and say, well, now what do you want to write about this? Things like that. They were sitting with arms folded and legs up, crossed on the desk. So when I entered the classroom, I could only see a few shoes up in my face like that. From that, at the end of the semester, they all loved me. One of them was sitting at my feet.
Wow.
I don't know why. I did something. But what I learned, not to look down at anybody, but have compassion, understand the story of their life, and see how they could mend and how they could hope to have a better life.
Is there any story which you remember till today which really left an impact on you?
Well, I have written a whole article. It started with sneakers. You see, a prison is not around the corner.
Right.
To go all the way down south, past a huge garbage dump. not lighted streets, but dark, like when we had power outage. And then you go to the prison. Then you have a checkup. Then you go in. Sentries sitting everywhere. And they are very sharp. When I put the music, they came and said, oh, very nice, very nice. Next time when I took my record player, the pin was missing, to my great embarrassment. They crowded around me, and when I was talking with them, somebody took the pin. Now that could pierce somebody's eye.
Wow.
So, there were so many stories of tension among them.
Are you not scared?
I was scared. So first of all, my husband was very scared.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to drive all that way? Suppose you have a car breakdown on that street. How will you get help? What will you do? Remember, these were not days of the mobile phones, you see? So you were alone.
So what kept you going?
You have to have faith, invincible faith, that I want to do something good. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my help.
Beautiful.
Bansiwala aa jayega. So he was pacing up and down till I arrived back home. But he said, do you really have to do it? He asked me when I accepted. I said, if I don't do it, I am a coward. I have to do it because I have no judgment over them. They don't need somebody who comes and judges and talks down to them.
Beautiful. Let's shift gears a little bit. You had the rare opportunity to meet Mahatma Gandhi. So talk to us about that interaction with Gandhiji and what was that experience like and what did it trigger?
See, my father was a Gandhian, but he didn't agree with Gandhiji on teaching vernacular in the school. He had a special teacher who taught me Gujarati, which is my mother tongue. But he decided that I was going to go to British school because the British educated people were the ones who were dealing with the Raj. So to help with the freedom movement, you were better off learning English. So I went to an English medium school, Queen Mary's School. And when Vallabhbhai Patel, Sardar Patel, died, it was in Bombay, and there were going to be big morchas and processions. So my father came to the school and said, I want to take my daughter from the class because Sardar Patel has died. So this teacher had no idea who Sardar Patel was. And she thought that Sardar was the name for a girl named Sharda. So she couldn't say Sharda. And she said, Sardar, who is this Sharda? Who is this woman who is famous, who is wanting to close down the school? It was so silly. And we all knew who Sardar Patel was. And we were laughing at the teacher who was so ignorant. I don't know if this is good story for you or not.
Of course, it is. So from here, let's talk about your experience when you met Gandhiji.
My mother's mama was with Birlas. And so he said, you come early and I'll have you sit right in front of the dais. We were kids, and went over the bars. I could go over the bamboo bars and climb like prim and proper girls don't do that. And all these ushers were making us go back. And Gandhiji arrived right at that moment. And he sat down and smiled. And he said, let them be. And I remembered because we had to read the Bible. In the Bible, Jesus said, suffer little children to come unto me. Allow little children to come unto me. And that glowing face has left a lasting impression on my mind. To this day, he was not a handsome man at all, but when he smiled, his whole face lit up, and it was wonderful. I was so fortunate that I saw him within 10 feet. And that's what triggered my desire to see Kasturba. But Kasturba had died in prison in 44. This was when Gandhiji was out of the prison, just before he was assassinated.
So the fact that you could not meet Kasturba, did that...
It made me feel very sad, very sad. And then, of course, I was a child, just slipped from the need to find out more. Then when I taught Asian literature, I included Gandhiji's autobiography. And then my students began to ask, what's she like? She seems very interesting. And once again, this is providential, I don't know. But students began to ask me about her. And then the spark came. I took sabbaticals and went to India, went everywhere. Gandhian family members told me, oh, don't go to Porbandar. You won't see anything there. There's nothing. But nobody will tell you.
So you probably wanted more answers.
Yes, I gave some answers because I could read from Gandhiji's book. But I felt that I should at least tell them something about the Indian tradition, how the wife is very demure, follows the husband and so on. But this lady had the same traditional ideas. But when something was unfair, she stood up. And this was very good because Gandhiji was himself evolving. His truth was evolving. And he had to meet with a combat person in the family to be able to bring out his truth. You see, in my book also, I regret one thing, and that is I haven't said with emphasis that they were young children. They were not even 18 years old when the arguments between them culminated in his sending her away to her parents' house. And then asking her back without her apology, rather with his apology. And, why do people go to churches and temples and other places? Even there is no service. People go because these places speak. They speak to your heart. And so I said, I must go to Porbandar. And in the Porbandar house, Gandhiji's house, there is a painting, a fresco, coming from the fish to the tortoise, the whole evolution, is on until the Mahatma, the great soul. From Matsya to avatars. The avatars are all depicted on the wall of the Gandhi house.
Wow.
This tells you something, how the soul can evolve. Kasturba's house was full of Krishna paintings, Ganesha, all those frescoes, they were there. That influenced the child. This child and that child, both of them, had very strong faith.
So what key lessons would you want the readers to take away from Kasturba's story? And I think for the benefit of the listeners, do you think you can share a little bit about Kasturba and, and therefore the book you wrote?
Kasturba was a few months older than Gandhiji. He was 12 and she was 13 when they got married. And most girls, when they are married so young, don't go to the in-laws' home right away. They go and visit, because they are in the same town. But Kasturba did not have that choice because the family had moved from Porbandar to Rajkot. So she had to go away at the same time that Gandhi went away to Rajkot after the wedding. And so she had no friends there. She had no family to go back to, because those girls who were married and were in same town, in the afternoon they went to the parents' house. Just a little time of in-laws, a little bit of working there, getting nice mithai, something at parents' home, fussing over them. All that she didn't have. She had a double whammy when she went to Porbandar, because Gandhi's father had met with an accident and he was bedridden. So a lot of people who came to Rajkot came to his house to talk with him. And of course, Indian hospitality, they had to be served luncheon. So here you are every day cooking for about 25 people. I'm not exaggerating. And after that, for a little reprieve, you don't have your parents' home to go to. You go to the temple. You go to a new friend. Okay? A neighbor. The husband is telling you no. So he had to give up that, because she stood up and she said, I'm doing all my duty and then I should have the freedom. She fought for her freedom. And Gandhi had to apologize. First, he sent her back to her parents' place. But then he apologized. She said, I'm free to go and come as I like when I have done all my duty.
Amazing.
So, the things that we gather from this is, to thine own self, since I'm an English professor, I have to quote right from English. To thine own self be true, and it follows as the day the night, or the night the day, that thou canst not be false to any man.
Beautiful.
And that is the Gandhi lesson.
Right.
From the English book. We are all one, you see.
How did you decide that you want to become an English person?
I loved literature and I knew most of English literature, even old English literature. So I wanted that very much because literature is about life. It takes away all the busyness of life and takes the things that are important in this life to give you an understanding of one particular life and see how the life unfolds. And when you see that, you understand something of human nature, of human weakness, of human possibilities, in spite of those weaknesses. So I just loved it. And have you ever heard somebody making a petition and saying, please, I want to go to the arts college? This has never been a case where you have admission to science and you want to go to the arts. I did, because I wanted philosophy and literature.
Yeah. Talking about philosophy, again, in our last conversation, you talked to me about how you learned from a philosophy professor and, you had to take over his students because he passed on.
He was blind. He went to the bathroom and he could not see that he was passing blood. He could not see that his kitchen was on fire until he smelt the smoke. He was a philosophy professor, Bengali professor. And so I took over his class when he was diagnosed with cancer. I had to walk with him on the road and guide him and do so many things before his operations and so on. It was a lesson. It was a learning thing, and not learning philosophy, because I knew that. And I knew about Buddhism, and I had studied because as an eternal student.
Absolutely, yeah.
He was also teaching at the same college. In fact, he was at Columbia and he moved because we had better pay.
Right.
And he got this problem. So then they looked around, who can take this over? And you know who I am? I, sir. To life. Yes, I will take the role. I will fill in for him. It doesn't matter.
Beautiful, yeah.
And I have to say that means extra hours going to his house, helping him, taking whatever his syllabus was, or have to go according to that. You have to have a very understanding, lovable, helpful husband. Please don't forget him, because I am no angel, but he was.
Talk to us about how did he support you in your journey? You both traveled the world, have lived in many different
Yes.
countries. So tell us about that.
Well, I was always the one who was planning, all right? But he agreed. I depended on him for driving. I did all the map work and all the research for where we want to go. I want to go down the Rhine, and go to the university. People don't do these things, right? And he never said no. He said, okay, because he found that there were interesting things that happened when we went out of the way to do things with him. And of course, he liked it very much when we went to Germany, and he could have a big glass of beer. It was fine.
Let's shift gears. So you've got this amazing and beautiful bust behind you of Rabindranath Tagore. So talk to us about the art in your life.
First of all, I came with art in my blood, with my mother, remember? And also my father's exploring spirit and courage. You see, so if I wanted to do sculpting, and the one I wanted to sculpt the most was Tagore, then that's what I was going to do. And who was going to stop me? Nobody.
Yeah.
Yes. So I went in that department and I learned something from them, what kind of material, plaster of Paris or what they could use. And then I got it to the house, and we had an upstairs that was always used for guests. So there was my clay and all those things, and started. And I taught myself how to do it.
Amazing.
My dentist friend at that time was giving away old tools, So those were very good.
Wow.
For sculpting. You've seen the picture in my house, the copper plate that I've etched.
Yes.
Radha Krishna in it. That also dental tools came in very handy. So anybody who wants to do sculpting or etching or all that, tell your dentist friend, I'm ready to accept your old stuff.
Amazing. You're 88 years old and you're living in this country and in this house all by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, aren't you scared, or what keeps you going?
What should I be scared of? Somebody breaking in? Death comes only once. When you say that you have faith, what kind of faith is it? I sleep so happily. I touch the pillow, and I say the Lord's name, and I'm gone. My wish is like my friend who died in the garden. We found her in Nova Scotia, lying in the garden. She was all by herself in her house after her husband died. She had her spade fallen from her hand. She was lying in the bed of flowers. And the neighbor found her, because every night he went before going to bed, look around to see that the old lady is okay or not. That is not the time of the phone. Right now my daughter calls me, Mom, are you okay? If my friend Mary died like that, I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, Lord, take me in my bed. If not, if I have to do some travel of soul, I'll do it. I'm ready to do it.
What wisdom do you find yourself sharing with the younger generation?
Everything is possible. If you want to do it, if you're prepared to work for it. Now, I got a bump on the ground with a metal thing, but you are happy because you hate nobody. You love everyone. You want to see if there is a need someone has. Fulfill the need. Now, can I help anybody in Ukraine? Can I? Can you?
No.
I can. Because there is a garden club girl who's from Ukraine. And they have a craft show to which I can contribute some of my creations, put them in frames. And I did that 6 months ago. The money that comes from that craft fair goes for medicine for those who don't have those medicines in Ukraine.
Wonderful.
Okay, I have no contact, but I see the person. Okay, what do you do to help your people over there? She says, I help with the craft fair. Okay, I will help with the craft fair.
Beautiful.
How can I help with the craft fair? I am now 87 years. Stop it. That's nonsense. If I can do it to my dying day, I am going to keep doing. You see, I will show you the craft things that I'm going to put for the Ukrainian festival coming up in October.
Talk to us about your garden club.
As soon as I came to Houston, I learned that you could learn to be a master gardener. So I went to master gardening class. I got my diploma from master gardening and I joined a garden club. The garden club has 28 members.
Okay.
All are Christian, except one who is Parsi and myself. Guess who is the chaplain of the club? I am the chaplain because I like spiritual readings. I can quote from the Bible. And what I say does seem to make sense. Otherwise, they would throw me out.
Are you still a member or are you still continuing the garden club?
Yes. When Naren was dying, he told me, Sita, you are a people person. Love people. You like to do things. I had resigned from the garden club. He said, please rejoin your garden club and do all the things you used to do. Dress the way you used to dress and be the happy person you are. And so I rejoined the garden club. They're mostly women who have lost their husbands. Naren was the only one who came to our luncheons.
How sweet.
He was the only one who had the guts to come to a women's gathering. And one day we had a discussion about music, what music. He liked English as well as Indian music. So they said, but who amongst us can sing? I said, Naren can sing. He's a good singer. I said, would you like to sing? What do you think?
Obviously. How do you see your legacy unfolding? And what continues to give you a sense of purpose and fulfillment at this point in your life?
My legacy, first of all, are my children and my grandchildren. You can do podcast of my granddaughter. You could do with my daughter too. She was one of the first scientists who did environmental science and worked for New York State Attorney General's office to watch over environmental violations. So my children respect good values, care about people, hate nobody, love everybody. Whatever you can give, dhan dan, shram dan, gnan dan, all this they have learned to do. And they will continue to do. Their dada and I next to him have taught that you cannot be happy if you are watching somebody else not happy.
And what continues to give you a sense of purpose?
Why? I saw it all the time. I saw it with my father. I saw it with my husband. I see it with my children, with Atul and Aarti and Anand and Nupur. Nupur, my daughter-in-law. She is not well. but she can reach out and help so many people. She's a doctor, So if you want to help, if your soul is eager, if there is in you that desire to help, you can, no matter what. People have come to learn to be creative, to learn to write, because they wanted, like your father, wanted to write their biography. I said, okay, I'll set up my class in my garage and come and write. And I'll give a little guidance.
Nice.
So, if you are looking for ways to enhance somebody's life, you can.
Any mistakes in your life? And with the wisdom of hindsight, what did you learn from them?
I didn't cultivate friendships with certain kinds of people.
Do you think that was a mistake?
I could have explored more to find out. On the face of it, it was not good. Somebody who is hot-tempered, saying nasty things about other people. But maybe there was a sore in their life that could have been healed to make them a nicer person. Maybe, I don't know, but I avoided that.
Yeah, but that's probably a better perspective, right?
Maybe you go towards people who are like you, warm and loving, and maybe like my prison students.
Right.
You wouldn't socially be drawn to them. But in that context, I was committed to helping them. Outside, if somebody is nasty, I avoid it.
Yeah.
I avoid that person.
Yeah.
Has that been right?
I often have this conversation with some of my clients, and a lot of them focus on the people who they don't like, and almost like they have this inherent desire to try and change them. So the perspective which I give them is, if somebody needs your help, they will come to you, because we cannot change the world. We can only sort of change ourselves and adapt to the world.
Yes, you don't go out and aggressively try to change them.
Exactly.
But at least behave with them as though they are like a very nice person.
Yeah.
And maybe it will go some way, it will come to them. But I don't know. I have still a lot to learn. That's what I believe. I can every day might bring a new thing to learn.
Right.
Like I never knew what a podcast was.
There you go. Thank you, Sita ji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for all that you've shared.
Well, I feel honored and I feel happy that you asked me, because my heart, my soul is bubbling to share. And you asked me, you gave me a chance to do that. So thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, do hang on for just one more minute. I have a request for you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Atlanta Diaries on Spotify, iTunes, or whichever platform you follow. Do join us in our mission to empower and inspire by sharing the podcast with a friend or colleague. It will be great if you can share on the social media platforms you follow, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or any other. Please leave a review or rating on iTunes or Spotify. It really helps us reach a wider audience. Lastly, I wanted to share with you that many of my coaching clients and listeners have created a cheat sheet with their key takeaways from the episodes. I invite you to consider jotting down one or two key takeaways as you navigate your amazing journey. Have a wonderful rest of the day and see you next week for another inspiring journey on Atlanta Diaries.